Megaprojects are often viewed as ambitious feats of engineering and architecture that showcase the potential of human ingenuity. However, not all megaprojects are created equal. Some are doomed to fail from the start, while others end up being nothing more than white elephants. So in this video, we are going to show you the most useless megaprojects in the world. The video is going to be amazing, so make sure you stick to the end. Forest City, Malaysia. Forest City's location makes it an appealing bet for investors who are aiming to profit from its proximity to the independent city-state of Singapore. Singapore has the world's second busiest port and a thriving economy. The developers have already linked Forest City with Singapore through the second link bridge, shortening the distance between the cities to just 20 minutes. The design is advertised to incorporate many green innovations. Forest City will feature buildings with green rooftops and vertical gardens, providing a jungle experience. City streets will have a multiple-layer design with a lower layer for traffic and parking spaces, while the upper layer will feature parks, sports facilities, and transport hubs. The city will be powered exclusively with renewable energy and will be completed by 2035 at a cost of $100 billion. One of the 4 proposed islands is close to completion with 50 apartment buildings, golf courses, swimming pools, and beaches on board. However, it's not all smooth sailing for this highly ambitious project. A multitude of economic and political hurdles are already hindering its progress. Many foreigners started leaving the city and new investors were discouraged. The next major setback came in the form of the pandemic and the worldwide travel bans. Malaysia's movement control order meant that no new investors could move in. Lots of existing investors opted out of the project due to uncertainty. So by the start of 2020, less than 500 people were actually living in the residential developments, which is not a lot considering that Forest City is designed for 700,000 people. No one knows what may happen to this unrealistically amazing infrastructure in the future. Moreover, Country Garden laid off more than 1,000 of its Malaysian workers in the past year, signaling the epic downturn in the project's fortunes. Forest City was probably too ambitious, to begin with too futuristic to truly achieve, and too politically challenged to succeed anytime soon. It's safe to assume that despite the billions invested, Forest City is currently a useless megaproject. Ciudad Real Central Airport, Spain. Ciudad Real Central Airport was built in the tiny town of Ciudad Real, about an hour south of Madrid in a little-traveled stretch of central Spain. It was dubbed the Don Quixote Airport after the literary hero of the region, and there were big plans in store for the project. The Ghost Airport is one of the more notorious remnants of Spain's construction boom in the mid-2000s that left scores of buildings, including 2 other airports, unused after the bubble burst. The deserted airport has a single runway, as well as a visitor center nearby that has also been closed in 2012. It is currently for sale, and while there was a bid from China to buy it for €10,000 and a UK bidder for €28 million, but with no deal closed, the future of the airport remains uncertain. Before we move on, support us by hitting subscribe and the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. Now, let's get back to our topic. Interstate A3, Hawaii. A breathtakingly scenic highway in Aloha State, Hawaii, the 26-kilometer-long Interstate A3 passes through one of the most stunning landscapes in the world. It is so stunning that there were genuine concerns about motorists stopping and creating traffic hazards. However, the highway is as controversial as it is beautiful. It was first proposed in 1960 with defense considerations in mind, as the highway would connect the Pearl Harbor Naval Base on the south side to the Marine Corps Air Station on the east coast. 26 years later, the environmental hurdles were removed when Congress exempted the project from environmental laws and cleared the way for construction to finally begin in 1989. The highway was finally opened in 1997, almost 37 years after it was originally proposed. Interstate A3 is often considered an engineering marvel because of the difficult terrain it is built and the advanced technologies used in its construction. In addition to the numerous high-tech tunnels, the highway runs almost exclusively over viaducts to protect the local environment in the valleys. Decades of decay route changes and newer but more expensive technologies meant that it was completed 5 times over the original estimated budget. The total cost of construction was $1.3 billion, which is about $50 million per kilometer, the most expensive cost per kilometer in the world. Despite the enormous budget, this beautiful highway isn't useful for everyone. Critics believe that it's a road to nowhere because the defense considerations of the 60s are no longer relevant, and the highway has no direct route to downtown Honolulu. Then there's the case of native Hawaiians, a majority of whom refuse to use the A3. They consider it to be cursed, as many religiously significant cultural sites were destroyed during its completion. The Interstate A3 highway is certainly an achievement as far as megaprojects go. However, for certain native groups, it remains useless. Yucca Mountain, Nevada. In 1978, Yucca Mountain joined a short list of 10 sites across 6 different states that would potentially be able to accommodate 77,000 tons of nuclear waste by 2015. By 1985, that number had been whittled down to just 3, and President Reagan authorized extensive analysis of sites in Hanford, Washington, Dev Smith County, Texas, and Yucca Mountain. 2 years later, Yucca Mountain was the last man standing. But even then, things were still a long way off. Initially, it had been hoped that Yucca Mountain could begin accepting nuclear waste in 1998, but that proved hopelessly optimistic. A long preliminary tunnel was dug within the mountain, and countless scientific surveys have been carried out to determine the feasibility of turning the depths of this mountain into the most radioactive spot on the planet. On 23 July 2002, President George W. Bush officially gave the go-ahead for the project, but it hit a political brick wall almost immediately. During the 2006 midterm elections, Harry Reid, a Nevada senator and fierce opponent of the Yucca Mountain project, became Senate Majority Leader and didn't take long to voice his position on the proposed repository site, saying, "Yucca Mountain is dead. It'll never happen." After stating on the campaign trail that he would effectively cancel the project if elected, President Obama was informed upon taking office that things were not quite that simple. He couldn't simply cancel the project, but he could choose to not renew federal funding, which is exactly what he did in 2011. So really, almost nothing has happened regarding the Yucca Mountain repository in the last decade, except for the painfully high compensation the government has been paying to utility companies for not supplying a repository as promised. The US government is currently paying these companies between $300 and $500 million per year to deal with their waste on their own accord. Ciudad, Myanmar. During British administration, the old city of Yangon was built as the capital to benefit the British Navy. In 2002, Myanmar's former military authorities began secretly constructing a new capital, a brand new capital city from the ground up. So far, the city has received $4 billion in funding from consecutive governments. He didn't divulge the name of this new capital until 4 months later, and it was Naypyidaw, which means literally people of the kings. Naypyidaw appears to have everything to entice guests, including a 20-lane expressway, over 100 luxury hotels organized into 3 hotel districts, golf courses, museums, and even a 99-meter-tall copy of a Yangon icon. Naypyidaw has a population of less than 1 million people, most of whom live in the city's suburbs, which existed before it became the capital. The city is commonly referred to as a ghost town because it resembles an abandoned location. Despite its seeming desolation, the royal capital has a silver lining. It's designed to be a future metropolis, and with Naypyidaw's rapidly growing population, there's still time for it to redeem itself. So that's it. Please like, share, and comment your thoughts below if you liked this video. Remember to subscribe to see our next video. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.